My name is Pam Cole, and I'm sitting here with Marcia Cornell Glynn. And the sign says Russell's Mills Library, but I understand that this was a schoolhouse and that you, Marcia, are part of a group to save the old schoolhouse.
Yes.
Tell about it.
I certainly am happy to say that an organization has been founded called the Dartmouth Historical and Arts Society, a nonprofit organization for all residents of Dartmouth and surrounding towns. This building actually is our first project, and we hope to be able to have an ongoing educational program with the public schools, where fourth graders will come and attend the school and receive the type of curriculum that the children in 1871 would have had.
Now, this was the first high school, or one of the first?
It was the first high school. It was a 2-year school originally in the beginning. And many of the students traveled distance to come to this school. The building, which is to our left on Russell's Mills Road, was a residence whereby some of the children boarded in that house Monday through Friday and then went home to their individual families.
Well, now we know that Dartmouth is one of the 4th largest town in the state of Massachusetts in terms of geography. So this might be the young people from Collins Corner and Hicksville would have had to come down here because they couldn't possibly have commuted.
That's true. However, Joe Beskidley, a young boy on Tucker Road, belonging to the Gidley farm, as a young person, rode his white horse, actually, to attend school. So he would be a day tripper.
Now, the school was turned into a library, and then it was closed. And your group has been founded to try to save this school.
Yes, we want to save the building, and we anticipate a multi-purpose use for the building, so that it'll mean that such organizations as the Alumni Association of the high school will have its home here. The community band will use the facility for band practice. In fact, the community band was founded, and their first concert actually was in this school.
Now, I was only in this school when it was a library, and I used to sit at the reference room tables and study here, and it was a very pleasant and quiet place to study, but the community's not quiet today.
No, it's a very busy road because of different beaches and places of interest. Today is the open studio program that is throughout Dartmouth, Westport, and Tiverton. So we picked a busy day to have our open house.
So was this your first big open house? I know you
Yes.
had Christmas caroling at Christmas time.
Yes, this is our first attempt. Now that we're a nonprofit organization within the town, we want to save the history of the town, the artifacts. We're asking people if in their attics they have papers or books, items of interest, that they contact me.
So, Marcia Cornell Glynn, can you give a contact, an address, or a phone number?
My phone number is 508-996-8048.
And now, as we sit here and hear this traffic, and we're outside, so I'm just going to refer to a couple of other buildings. Now, you told me that over there was a parking lot where you got penny candy?
Yes, where the parking lot now is, next to that building there, which was the first Christian church. That building was here when they built this school. So the age of that building, I'm sorry, I'm not able to give a date. However, next, tucked in the kind of like the shelf where that parking area is now, was a store, and it was called Medros, and the prime use of the building was for the public post office. And the people in charge of the postal service here in town made it possible that when a president was a Democrat, that Medros had the post office. And then when it was a Republican president, it was moved, literally moved, to Duval's store. And they had this going back and forth.
And the Duval store is still here, though.
Yes, but Medros' store was torn down. It's an open parking lot now.
So things that are still here in this Russell Mills Village that were there then, a Duval store, and then there's the falls behind, down to Slocum River, and over here is the schoolhouse. But Marcia, you couldn't have gone to school here if this stopped being a school in 1913. How come you came here for penny candy?
Well, penny candy was, that was the highlight of the day, when we would walk down from the younger elementary school up the road where the Pottery Center is now. And when I started school, first grade, at the Smith Neck School, built in 1924, the war broke out, and so therefore they had to close the Smith Neck School and bus us over here. So I was bused for 7 years over here to the Russell Mills School that's up further.
So this then became the library.
This became the library, and we would file once a week in a line from the school up beyond here, down here, get a book, sign in, and then return to school. That was the exercise of the day, weekly.
Now, I think you told me that there weren't many people in the school, but you believe they excelled in their education in the long run?
Oh, definitely. In my class that followed me, I was a participant, there were 4 girls and 4 boys. That's only 8 people. And so we really did get individual help and guidance, and I do think that that's so important, especially with math and also with reading.
Now, when you went on to high school, then you told me this story about going all the way to Washington, D.C. as a farm girl to represent this town.
Actually, I represented the state of Massachusetts, the 4-H program. We had a wonderful 4-H club here, starting when I was age 10 to age 18, when I was going to graduate from the high school. And prior to my graduation, I was notified by the Department of Agriculture I had been chosen as one of 4 representatives from the state of Massachusetts to National 4-H Camp. So I went to the principal, Mr. Erickson, John Erickson, and I was hesitant to tell him, but he already knew. The Department of Agriculture had actually sent a communication to him saying that I had been chosen as one of the 4 to represent Massachusetts. So I was not at my high school graduation.
And you told me there was somebody else in your class, Mr. Poole?
No, Peter Duval, who was the youngest son of Raymond and Mary Duvall, who owned Duvall's General Store. Peter and I were in the same class, and we followed each other to New Bedford Textile Institute and were students there. He excelled in his academic background and got a PhD in marine biology, and is located, now he's retired, but he was located in San Diego, California, working for the National Fisheries. One day he was on the pier, and this fellow came along and extended his hand and said, "Peter, it's been a long time." It was one of our classmates, never knowing that Peter was in San Diego or what he was doing.
Well, what you're actually doing here for us is answering the questions on this green card that's being given out today.
Yes.
Right? And these are the foundation of the Living History Project of this building.
Yes.
The Oral History Project, excuse me. So you are actually answering the questions, and we're asking everyone who comes to this open house to answer these questions so that we can build up a whole body of knowledge about the school. And so you have answered them, like, what is your earliest memory of Russell's Mills? And did any of your members of your family go to this school when it was still a one-room schoolhouse?
Yes.
Did your grandfather go here? Or?
Yes, he did. He rode his horse from Smith Neck Road all the way over here and secured the horse, went to school, and then returned in the late afternoon back over to the farm.
So now your family farm was over on Smith Neck Road, then
Yes.
the Cornell family farm.
Yes, that was established in 1845 when my ancestor Abraham, or Abram as he was known, moved from Masham Point, which he owned the total acreage of Masham Point up to Smith Neck Road and through to Little River Road. He actually, his great-great-grandfather built the first salt works in Dartmouth that was on Masham Point. That was before Ricketson Point Salt Works and the salt works on Shore Road of Smith Neck.
So they came up to Smith Neck Road and founded that farm that was only just a little ways down from the church that you went to, the meeting house.
Yes, that's right.
You were the next farm to Smith Neck Meeting House.
Yes, and we supported the meeting house. My father provided the wood to heat the building, would on Sunday morning at 6 o'clock make the fire and get it nice and warm so we could actually be comfortable. Provided the water. There was no water. There was only an outside privy. So we were part of the main life of Smith Neck community. Was focused around the activity of the Quaker meeting there at the corner of Rocket Dundee Road and Smith Neck.
And this was really a Quaker church or a Quaker meeting that you belonged
Yes,
to.
well, actually, it goes back many years. When Thomas and Mary Briggs Cornell Dyer actually came over from England, established themselves in Boston, were driven out by the Puritans, came down here to came down to Newport, where Roger Williams gave them safe haven, and then from Newport and Portsmouth, the two families migrated here to Dartmouth.
Well, there were families that came from the Cape. The Allen family came from the Cape, and the Howland family came from the Duxbury area.
That's right.
And all seeking freedom from persecution.
Exactly.
And so what I learned at Vacation Bible School one year was that this whole Quaker community was established many years before William Penn established Philadelphia.
That's right.
So history remembers Philadelphia as the important Quaker settlement, but actually right here in Dartmouth was one of the very first and the foundation settlements.
Yes, and we had visiting friends from England and from other areas, such as John Woolman, who came from the Maryland area. He was a crusader, Quaker crusader to abolish slavery. And he came and he told the monthly meeting, which was the body that controlled the actions and decisions of the meeting, that it was not right that Quakers should hold anyone in bondage or in slavery. And so they were going to read out of meeting, that is, disown the people who still had slaves. And Peleg Slocum was one that was told that he had to release his slaves to abolish the practice.
Now these are the Slocums are the family along Slocum River that gave Slocum River its name.
That's right. And it was Peleg Slocum who gave the 6 acres of land on Russell's Mills Road abutting Pascomanset River, where the first Quaker meeting house was built.
And when it got crowded, so many people joined. 100 years later, they rebuilt another one on the same foundation.
That's right.
And that's the one everybody could see if they just drove down the road right now and could worship there tomorrow morning in the Quaker manner.
Yes, built in 1799.
Well, I want to thank you for sitting and talking with us, Marcia. And I'm just going to review about the card that there is an oral history project. People could get a hold of these questions and email them to you or phone you. And on the back there is even an opportunity, just as you told your grandfather's name and some of your other ancestors, they could fill these names out, and we could then establish a whole history of Russell's Mills here.
That's right, Russell's Mills in South Dartmouth. Our society is in hopes of building a genealogical bank for the whole town of Dartmouth. And our society is not just because we're going to be located in this area, that it is a particular settlement. This is for the whole town of Dartmouth. So I'm appealing actually to residents of Dartmouth that are tucked away in other places to give us a call and let us have an opportunity to explore the early history of Dartmouth.
So it may just turn out then that this calamity that almost fell this building and this group that came to save it may in turn benefit the entire town, and good may come of it for everyone. Thank you very much, Marcia.
You're very welcome.